This old guy DIY video has to do with installing a couple of posts that will have a cable run between them for a friend's driveway. So she has this driveway. It's pretty big, and people tend to use it for a turnaround. Sometimes they're over here just burning out, throwing gravel. So what I'm going to do today is take that Kubota with the post hole digger on the back. I'm going to dig a hole right here and put a railroad tie in it. The ties weigh between 200 and 250 pounds a piece. So I'll put one in on this side, and I'll also put one in on that side of the driveway, and then I'll run a cable across so she can tie this thing up at night and just untie it in the morning if she's expecting a delivery. But otherwise she'll keep people from turning around in her driveway who shouldn't be here. We'll see how it goes. Now the auger is 8 inches in diameter and the railroad tie is 7 by 9. So I just let the auger wallow around a little bit to make the hole bigger. And once the hole was created with the auger, I came back with the Menard Special little manual post hole digger, cleaned it up enough that I can throw the big boy in there. And now I'll set this up so I can just pick up that far end and basically tilt the thing in. The tie is just over 8 feet long. When I dropped it in the hole, it only went down 2.5 feet before it hit roots and got stuck. So I'll dig the hole on the other side, and then once I get this other railroad tie off of the tractor, I'll come back and just take the bucket, push that thing down into the ground. Now that I have the post in position, I'm just using the bucket to pound it down. Well, I'm just about done. I leveled the posts up, put them with a decent face towards the driveway. Threw 100 pounds of Quikrete in at the base of each one. I'll come back tomorrow, fill this up with dirt and gravel, and we'll call it complete. Here's the second one. And tomorrow I'll put a cable on it, give her a lock, and it'll be good to go. I'm out here trying to finish up this post and cable job. So the first thing, if you're trying to drill a hole through a railroad tie and you get one of these big 1-inch auger bits from Harbor Freight and you're using a Milwaukee 18-volt driver, I had put that thing in low range, but my advice is hold on to it with both hands, because when that auger gets into the middle of the railroad tie, that damn thing will snap, and it just about broke my wrist, and I'm about 250. So anyway, from that point on, I went very slow. I used both hands. The bit was hot as could be when it was done, but I put the hole in there. And then my technique now is to run the cable through the front. I'm going around the side, coming through the other side, and I'm coming back out the front, and I'm going to put a ferrule there and swage it. And then I have some garden hose here, and I'm going to put garden hose around this edge so the thing is covered up. So that should provide some weather protection also. And this is what it looks like with the cable through the pole. So you can see I came out the back side, went around the front under the cable, came back through the hole, so I had both ends here, and then I swaged that with a 30-inch swaging tool. And if you've never used one of these things, they'll make you grunt. So if you can put one end on the ground, or one of the handle ends on the ground, so you can lean into it, that makes life a lot easier. With the one I just did, I set the handle on my thigh and just crank down with both arms, and it takes a little pressure, but it'll go. One other observation, when it comes to cutting off these railroad ties, I tried using this big Sawzall, and that thing does not do the job. So if you're going to cut a railroad tie, although you may be reluctant like I was to use a chainsaw, mark it and then hit it with the chainsaw. That's your best option. I just did my first bit of rework. The lady who owns the place came down, said, hey, I want to lock it on this side where I'm on the driveway. I don't want to screw around with that tree over there. So I ended up cutting the cable off here at about 12 inches. And then you can see I swaged this new fitting on there. So the cable that goes across the driveway is going to have a loop on both sides. so she can put a padlock on both sides and use it whichever way she prefers going forward. Well, the cable across the driveway is complete, and as you look at this thing, you're thinking that's not going to stop a vehicle. No, it's not going to stop a vehicle, and the intent is not to stop a vehicle. The intent is solely if some derelict that wants to go case in a house for a theft and wants to just drive up to the door and say, oh, some guy on Craigslist told me that there was a free washing machine here. This stops them and makes very clear that you're not welcome at the house. So the weakest link here is this little tree. Somebody could chop that down, or they could just pull it out with a truck. And then obviously somebody with an angle grinder or a bolt clipper could cut the cable. You can see I put this garden hose over the top of the 1/4-inch cable, so in case something does happen, if somebody runs into this thing, it's obvious I wasn't trying to clothesline anybody, and there's no malice here. It's just a matter of keeping private property private. And if somebody does decide to destroy this, whether they cut the cable or there will be a lock here, if they take the padlock off, or if they destroy the tree, do anything on that side, and then they go to the house and something bad happens, you know, this is the first line of evidence to say that it was very clear that that individual should not have been at the house. They were not welcome at the house. There's a no trespassing sign just a few feet over that direction. So if somebody goes through all this stuff and does some damage to get to the house, it's obvious they didn't have good intentions. And if something goes sideways, it's probably going to be a matter of filling out a report, put it in the file cabinet, continue on with life. Now, to finish this thing off and make it more visible, I bought some of this tape. It's dot 3 tape from Amazon, 30 feet for 20 bucks, I think it was. But it's reflective stuff you see on the side of semis. So I took it and I put it basically every 14 inches across the garden hose. And since the hose is dirty, when I applied this stuff, I applied it onto itself. I put one section first, and then I folded the other section on top, so it wraps all the way around, but the tape is going right onto the clean tape of its opposing piece. So it should be something that sticks, even though the hose may have been dirty and whatever else. So anyway, this is what it looks like now. When it's hit with headlights, it'll certainly light up, but in the evening, the little gate will be up. We have the 1/4-inch cable with the garden hose on top, and now it has the dot reflective material on top of that. We're going to call this project complete. So here you can see the reflective tape shows up pretty well at night. And when I was asked to do this job, the lady that owns the place says the budget was 1 chicken dinner. So I wanted to keep this thing pretty cost effective. So we ended up with a $13 railroad tie from Tractor Supply. I had 100 pounds of concrete, so that's another $10, so we're up to 24. 10 bucks worth of cable is 34. God provided the tree, no cost on that side. And then I had $15 in the padlock. So for $50, oh yeah, the old garden hose was free because it was shot anyway. But for 50 bucks and a couple hours work, we have a cable across the driveway that I believe will do the job. It's safe, it's easily visible, and it's secure. So I hope this idea helped you. If so, please subscribe and have a great night.